in the world? Hold on, I saw someone say talking to the end of the mic. I don't know what that means. Into the end of it? So, what up, fam? All right, so tonight's stream, I'm not intending on it being very long, but that doesn't always work out. It's called Scientism. It's really the cult of scientism. I put the wrong title on YouTube, but it'll be okay. We are on Rockman as well. The cult of scientism. And it is a cult that plagued society. And we saw this firsthand the last 3 years. It was on full display. So I think the thumbnail is very fitting. You have a dude in a white lab coat, and then all the sheep are just following whatever he says. That's pretty much how the world works now. And I think that the overarching part of it that's super funny to me is, say you are one of those people who believe in everything the current scientific consensus claims. And there are many of them. The most ironic part is, even within that paradigm, everything that the scientific consensus used to think is now considered wrong. So those same people would have been around like promoting the consensus at the time, even though it was wrong, and they would have been mocking and ridiculing those who dare question it. And this is the, frankly, the weak, less intelligent, easy way out, is to just appeal to the idea of consensus or scientists and call other people science deniers or mock or ridicule anyone that dares question something that you think is definitively established as science. It's pretty funny. I can give you plenty of examples. Let's say people believe that this fuzzy hair crackpot, the one that said this. Well, when I was a student, I came across experiments of this kind, or found out that experiments of this kind had already been made, in particular by your compatriot Michelson. He proved that one does not notice anything on Earth that it moves, but that everything takes place on Earth as if the Earth is in a state of rest. Albert Einstein, and of course, a lot of people believe in his theory of relativity, the special and general theory. And if you were to just say, let's just say hypothetically his theory is correct, it's provably not correct. It's laughable that people actually think it is. It's only people that don't know anything about it. There are levels to this, right? There are levels to the cult of scientism. There are those drowning in it. But mainstream top tier academics know that relativity is wrong. Best case scenario, drastically incomplete. Doesn't work. It's paradoxical. It's contradictory. It's just incomplete. Best case doesn't work on the cosmological or quantum scale. Saying that it works on the local scale doesn't mean anything. Like, I can give you 5,000 theories that work on the local scale. We just see phenomena that's reoccurring, and then we can apply a theory to that mathematically. That's not even impressive. It's actually shouldn't even be mentioned. It's that stupid. It's like, why? It literally shouldn't be mentioned as to the validity or veracity of a theory. But anyway, I digress. Let's just say that Einstein is correct in his theory that claims concepts can bend. So before Einstein, everyone believed in Newtonian physics. They believed in an ether with an absolute frame of reference and Newtonian physics. All physicists, quote unquote, right? That was the consensus across the board. And if you were dared to question ether, for example, you had been laughed out of the room, like, well, what sustains electromagnetic waves and light waves? And this is the foundation for all electrical field theory. The idea that someone would even utter the idea that an ether doesn't exist is stupid. There has to be a background medium sustaining the electromagnetic energy and propagation. We all know this. Everyone knows this. Every theory we've ever come up with about electrical field theory requires it, integrates it, assumes it, applies it. It's the only way we made any progress. How would anyone dare think that there is no ether or that Newtonian physics was wrong? Everyone thought this. And of course, everyone also understood that according to Newton himself, if his physics was correct, which he didn't even apply a mechanism or offer one, it required an ether. And he went in detail about what the ether was and his idea, and that was omitted conveniently because it is a cult. A cult will give you selective information so that they can guide you to believe a certain thing. All these people that say, like, oh, Newtonian mechanics works good enough, blah, 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 or they think that Newton is such a genius. Well, they omitted the fact that Newton actually said there has to be an ether. and that this must be a direct act of God. What he called gravity is there's no other way, didn't offer a mechanism, left it up to the consideration of the readers, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, Einstein got laughed out of the Royal Society whenever he invoked the idea of the bending and warping of space-time and the relativity theory. People thought he was insane. And a lot of these people that you see that have become genetically modified and jabbed themselves up and still brag about it to this day, or want to jab children and fell for all the pseudoscience. Oh, wear 17 mask, never mind, never mind, make it 3. Those people that are still scared of the air, the people that don't know how to think outside of what CNN or Fox News tells them, the people that can only read popular science headlines and think that makes them smart if they can regurgitate it, those same people would have ridiculed Einstein because all the scientists at the time said that Newtonian physics was true and there was an ether. So in their own paradigm, that type of thinking, that approach doesn't work, provably so. Throughout all of history, the current scientific consensus has been wrong about everything. You can't name an exception. Everything. All things. Everything. Okay? So in fact, the only thing you can be sure of is that the current scientific consensus about everything is wrong and it's incomplete. That's reality. And sure, we may have understandings that may not change, that we've even definitively proven in terms of scientifically, although nothing can be fully proven, we don't know all variables. That's why it's automatically wrong. We can only come up to a conclusion based on what we do know at the time. Okay? And it's funny. It's just funny. People do it every time. And frankly, I know why. I'm going to play a video for you guys in a second, but I know why people do it. It's the easy way out. It's the intellectually lazy and frankly, not to sound ugly, but incompetent way out. If you don't have to think for yourself, it's easier. The weak conform to consensus, like I always say. I always say that. I coined that phrase because it's very true. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance, and it's a very real phrase. It's very accurate. Weak-minded people incapable of individual thought or assessment, they will just conform to what they think the majority says, and oftentimes you will find they do not know what it says. This is why people ridicule you for saying that the earth is a plane, but they do not know anything about the globe model. They don't know why they believe it. They don't know how they allegedly verified any of these claims. They don't even know what it is. They don't know what it claims to be in the first place. They just know everyone says that it is the case. Apparently science has proven it. They can Google it and it says that it was proven 2,000 years ago. So if everyone thinks that, then I'm in a safe position to ridicule anyone that dares question it. And now that's my safe space. Okay? That's what people do. That's what people always do. And again, what proved this more than anything was the last 3 years where people were walking around scared of the air, like scared of the air, not scared of the air. Oh, I'm scared of the air again. Oh, make it 3 masks, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the TV was telling them, whatever the illusion of science was telling them, then they would call you a science denier. Back in the day, they would have said, Einstein's a science denier, which actually would have been accurate, ironic. They would have said, anyone that dares question Newtonian physics and the ether is a science denier. They're an idiot. You're stupid. We know that there is an ether. We know that Newtonian physics is correct. Anyone that dares question it is insane. They would have mocked them and ridiculed them because that was a consensus at the time. And that just goes to make my point, which is that the people that do that, they would have been wrong throughout all of history in their own paradigm. Like everyone that works within any realm of physics at the higher end at all, they know that Einstein's theory is wrong. That's why you only see anti-flat earthers on the internet defending relativity as if it is a fact. People know it's not. We know in many ways that it's wrong, but people will cling on to it. There's a famous quote, I forgot who said it, but it's very difficult to get someone to understand something whose profession requires them not understand it. And that's why we are always so far behind the actual knowledge, meaning relativity has already been disproven, but there hasn't been an agreed upon replacement. So they just keep using it, claiming it's true, and then it trickles down to the masses, and the masses think it's still accurate. They know it's inaccurate. They know that. And it'll be 20 years at least before they come out and officially change the consensus stance, and then these people will update their worldview. Just like whenever they came out and said, oh, we discovered Polaris is actually over 100 light years closer than we thought. Oops, we were off by 30%. Of course, a light year is 5.88 trillion miles. This is a 30% error. It's not pretty insignificant. Overnight, these people updated their worldview. It's easier to hand your thinking over to other people. For one, it requires less time and effort. And for two, it comes with less responsibility. Oh, the science got it wrong. Oh, that's how science works. We're trying to figure stuff out. We. You'll hear this inclusive pronoun of we. You didn't do anything. We have a model. You don't have anything. Our model. You don't have a model. You know, like, oh, science does this. We figure things out. No, first of all, science isn't a group, isn't a thing of people. It isn't a person. Okay, science isn't sentient. We, but they do nothing. Like, oh, where's your model? The Earth isn't a model, nor is any human in possession of that. You know, it's the Earth, and you don't have a model. Okay, so this is just, frankly, it's intellectually incompetent and weak position and an intellectually lazy position to take. So that's basically the preface here. That was 15 minutes. It's just funny because in their own paradigm, it's guaranteed the current scientific consensus is wrong. And I'll go through some more details here in a little bit, but we're going to watch this video. I think I watched this video back in the day, and I think it's pretty good. Yeah, just to really drive this point home, right? What you're going to see in the chat and in the comments are people still doing the very thing that I'm elucidating, that I'm describing right now. They're going, like, if you say the electron's not real, they'll call you stupid. But the truth is, they don't know who discovered it. They don't know the physical properties of it. They don't know the progression of it. They don't know the understanding. They don't know the contradictions. They don't know that it's allegedly a point particle with no size or shape, but still it's 100 million times smaller than the atom, allegedly, but we can't ever tell exactly where it is. And it's a mass. It's literally a particle of matter, but it has no size or shape, right? It's like they don't know that. They just know that they can say, oh, you're such an idiot. You don't believe in the electron. How does your computer work? It's just low. I'm trying not to be too derogatory, but it's like low IQ nonsense. It's gaslighting. It's all fluff. Okay, so you can just rest assured, like, who cares what those people think? They're the loudest people in the room, but they're the least relevant in terms of like actual progression of intellectualism and science. So there you go. That's what the danger of the cult of scientism is, that it creates slaves. It creates mob mentality people that don't think for themselves, don't know how to individually access information, are terrified of ever going against the majority or societal ostracism. And so you have a very useful tool to control people by using the word science, deifying the idea of people in lab coats. Now, I've talked to quite a few scientists. You find out they don't even know what they believe. They don't know any of this. I just talked to a PhD astronomer the other day, and I'm like, what about the redshift anomalies? And he only knew of one of the 5 I named off the top of my head. And he does that for a living. He didn't know about all the redshift anomalies. If their redshift assumption is incorrect, everything they think they know about space is incorrect. It's all built upon the redshift interpretation. That's just an example. It's a facade. It's a facade. Just like in a cult, everyone thinks that the leader has some secret, sacred information, but in fact, it's a facade. Okay? And the people outside the cult can see. And basically, we used to be in the cult because we're indoctrinated into the cult at a young age. We got out of the cult. We're just like, bro, you're in a cult. Just get out. And they try to call flat earth a cult, projection. They try to call flat earth stupid, projection. Say they don't have physical evidence for flat earth, projection. That they can't verify, flat earth, projection. They don't have physical measurements of flat earth, projection. Everything they say is a direct projection. Oh, you just believe what other people say, projection. Oh, you just do this to make yourself feel special, projection. It's all projection. There's something in the universe about when you lie, you're forced to project. Okay. Anyway, so there's my rant. Let's watch this video. And if it's the video, hopefully it is the video I remember, but if it is, it really kind of breaks down one of the major problems. Now, if you've watched any of my debates, what you'll see is people be like, where's your science paper? Where's your published paper? And I have a published paper, a peer-reviewed paper about how peer review sucks. Literally. A peer-reviewed paper, how 60 to 70% of peer review is complete garbage and that they contradict themselves and all kinds of stuff. A peer-reviewed paper says your peer review is stupid. But we're going to look into this video, and that's one of the main things. Is the idea of, oh, the scientists looked at it. No, a bunch of people with highlighters looked at it. That doesn't mean anything. No one cares. Like, oh, this isn't the agreed upon thing. We can't cover that. We can't allow it to be published. Who cares? It's stupid. All I'm trying to do is encourage the people that are victim to that, to the people that ostracize you. Just like stand tall. I just disregard them. Frankly, treat them as children. Like children don't know any better. They just like, they're going to scream and call you names, but like, don't take the bait, right? It's just a child. It's like, okay, little Timmy, it's okay. Eat your lollipop. It's like literally how you should look at it, because these people, I've come across thousands of them at this point. It's just a joke. They just say things, they gaslight you, they blatantly project, they twist, manipulate, they psychologically manipulate everything that they're saying to you to try to make you internalize their defamatory remarks, etc. It's just very toxic, hateful, atheistic, nihilistic, low IQ nonsense. You can disregard it, treat them as children. All right, let's watch the video.
In 2011, an article was published in the reputable Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. It was called Feeling the Future: Experimental Evidence for Anomalous Retroactive Influences on Cognition and Affect. Or in other words, proof that people can see into the future. The paper reported on 9 experiments. In one, participants were shown 2 curtains on a computer screen and asked to predict which one had an image behind it. The other just covered a blank wall. Once the participant made their selection, the computer randomly positioned an image behind one of the curtains. Then the selected curtain was pulled back to show either the image or the blank wall. The images were randomly selected from one of 3 categories: neutral, negative, or erotic. If participants selected the curtain covering the image, this was considered a hit.
Now, I know this guy can be kind of annoying, and a lot of people have seen him and don't like him, but he does occasional good work.
And with there being 2 curtains and the images positioned randomly behind one of them, you would expect the hit rate to be about 50%. And that is exactly what the researchers found, at least for negative and neutral images. However, for erotic images, the hit rate was 53%. Does that mean that we can see into the future? Is that slight deviation significant? Well, to assess significance, scientists usually turn to p-values, a statistic that tells you how likely a result at least this extreme is if the null hypothesis is true.
I always ask people, what's the Cavendish p-value? And they just look at me like I'm speaking a different language. Pretty funny.
In this case, the null hypothesis would just be that people couldn't actually see into the future, and the 53% result was due to lucky guesses. For this study, the p-value was 0.01, meaning there was just a 1% chance of getting a hit rate of 53% or higher from simple luck. P-values less than 0.05 are generally considered significant and worthy of publication. But you might want to use a higher bar before you accept that humans can accurately perceive the future and, say, invite the study's author on your news program. But hey, it's your choice. After all, the 0.05 threshold was arbitrarily selected by Ronald Fisher in a book he published in 1925. This raises the question, how much of the published research literature is actually false? The intuitive answer seems to be 5%. I mean, if everyone's using p less than 0.05 as a cutoff for statistical significance, you would expect 5 of every 100 results to be false positives. But that, unfortunately, grossly underestimates the problem. And here's why. Imagine you're a researcher in a field where there are 1,000 hypotheses currently being investigated. Let's assume that 10% of them reflect true relationships and the rest are false. But no one, of course, knows which are which. That's the whole point of doing the research. Now, assuming the experiments are pretty well designed, they should correctly identify around, say, 80 of the 100 true relationships.
Okay, and we don't have to necessarily watch the whole thing, but I do know that the big channel, they're going to want to strike me. But just in case you guys thought I was making a joke, okay, real fast to break this up here. Peer review. This is a peer-reviewed paper. Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine, a flawed process at the heart of science and journals. Okay, peer reviewed, a flawed process. It's over here. It's hilarious. I should just bring this up in all my debates. Peer review is at the heart of the processes of not just medical journals, but of all science. It is the method by which grants are allocated, papers published, academics promoted, and Nobel Prize won. Yet it is hard to define. It has until recently been unstudied. Wow. So peer review is antithetical to the very, premise people invoke it to defend. And its defects are easier to identify than its attributes. Yet it shows no sign of going away. Famously, it is compared with democracy, a system full of problems, but the least worst we have. And you guys can read through it. Come down here to the conclusion, which you should read articles, not just go to conclusion. That's what ballers do. But anyway, so peer review is a flawed process full of easily identified defects with little evidence that it works. Nevertheless, it is likely to remain central to science and journals because there is no obvious alternative, and scientists and editors have a continuing belief in peer review. A what? A belief. Like a religion or a cult? How odd that science should be rooted in belief. I'm telling you, it's almost like it's a religion. And it's actually not science, it's scientism, huh? So here's your peer review. You guys want your peer review paper so bad. Here's a peer review paper telling you that your peer review process that you rely on and invoke as if your pantheon is actually built upon belief, and it's basically dogmatic religion. If you're not inside the cult upon agreed upon ideas, then you're not going to make it through the process. Oh, wow, how amazing.
A point power of 80%. So 20 results are false negatives. Perhaps the sample size was too small or the measurements were not sensitive. As you might expect, this news spread like wildfire. To the front page of Build, the most widely served carb diet, another went on the same low carb diet plus a 1.5 ounce bar of chocolate per day. And the third group was the control, instructed just to maintain their regular eating habits. At the end of 3 weeks, the control group had neither lost nor gained weight, but both low carb groups had lost an average of 5 pounds per person. The group that ate chocolate, however, lost weight 10% faster than the non-chocolate eaters. The finding was statistically significant with a p-value less than 0.05. As you might expect, this news spread like wildfire. To the front page of Build, the most widely circulated daily newspaper in Europe, then to the Daily Star, the Irish Examiner, the Huffington Post, and even Shape magazine. Unfortunately, the whole thing had been faked. Kind of. I mean, researchers did perform the experiment exactly as they described, but they intentionally designed it to increase the likelihood of false positives. The sample size was incredibly small, just 5 people per treatment group, and for each person, 18 different measurements were tracked, including weight, cholesterol, sodium, blood protein levels, sleep quality, well-being, and so on. So if weight loss didn't show us
I'm sorry, brother, but you're kind of boring.
Replication studies because few journals will publish them. And take the precognition study from the start of this video. 3 researchers attempted to replicate one of those experiments, and what did they find? Well, surprise, surprise, the hit rate they obtained was not significantly different from chance. When they tried to publish their findings in the same journal as the original paper, they were rejected. The reason? The journal refuses to publish replication studies. So if you're a scientist, the successful strategy is clear. Don't even attempt replication studies because few journals will publish them. And there is a very good chance that your results won't be statistically significant anyway.
Wait, why? Wait, time out. Why are they very unlikely to publish replication studies? I thought that was like the whole purpose of science. Oh, but we should definitely just make sure we run everything to the filter of peer review so anything can be true, for sure.
In which case, instead of being able to convince colleagues of the lack of reproducibility of an effect, you will be accused of just not doing it right. So a far better approach is to test novel and unexpected hypotheses and then p-hack your way to a statistically significant result. Now, I don't want to be too cynical about this because over the past 10 years, things have started changing for the better. Many scientists acknowledge the problems I've outlined and are starting to take steps to correct them. There are more large-scale replication studies undertaken in the last 10 years. Plus, there's a site, Retraction Watch, dedicated to publicizing papers that have been.
Oh, wow, how fascinating. All right, I'm sorry, that was pretty boring. I thought that was better than it was. All right, so we can go through some of the specifics here. Okay, so whenever I say, let me tell you guys what actually happened regarding the evolution of what is now referred to as quantum mechanics, for example. Okay? Quantum mechanics is a perfect example because one of the rebuttals that people are always going to say is they're going to say, well, yeah, sure, science keeps changing, but it keeps getting more accurate. And our studies find that's incorrect, actually. That is not true. Okay, so a perfect example of this is quantum mechanics. So in really crude layman terms, people came up with this concept, this idea of the atom. There's an isolated area of phenomena that seems to concentrate in basically like a sphere, more like a double torus, right? Draw a circle around it, whatever. And they called it the atom. Now, if you look up the progression of the atom, which we'll actually do that. I'll double dog here. In a world. So this is a perfect example. If you question the atom, they're like, we're so stupid. Oh, we know all about the atom. Here's the progression of the atom. So you got solid sphere model, plum pudding model, nuclear model, planetary model, quantum model. Oh, the quantum model, which states Electrons do not move in set paths around the nucleus, but in waves. It's impossible to know the exact location of the electrons. Instead, we have clouds of probability called orbitals, in which we are more likely to find an electron. Now this is not science. This is called cartoons. Okay, I covered this a long time ago on my ether presentation. This is not science. These are cartoons. Okay, these are cartoons. These are people making up stuff. They love, oh, the balls revolve around each other. Oh, man. His model of atom by stating that electrons moved around the nucleus in orbits of fixed size energies. Electron energy in this model was quantized. Electrons could not occupy values of energy between the fixed energy levels. So this is long after. Now, J.J. Thomson is actually the guy who discovered the electron. Thomson discovered electrons, which he called corpuscles, specifically etheric corpuscles in atoms in 1897, for which he won a Nobel Prize. Only once he ended up changing his definition a little bit. He subsequently produced a plum pudding model of the atom. It shows that the atom as composed of electrons scattered through a spherical cloud of positive charge. Of course, there is no such thing as positive or negative charge. You have charging and discharging, but I digress. So here is a perfect example of how there's no way this is correct. Okay, there's no way that this is correct. It cannot be correct. If you can read words and understand them, then you'd understand it. It says it's impossible to know the exact location of the electrons. Instead, we have clouds of probability, quote unquote, called orbitals, in which we are more likely to find an electron. That's not science, okay? Clouds of probability, probability distribution, probability equations. None of that is science. That's like, oh, well, based on our current model and our assumptions, our reifications, and our presuppositions, here's a mathematical equation in which I can say it's this likely that I'll find an electron in this area. That's not science. When I say the electron doesn't exist, it doesn't exist objectively. There's no evidence for it. Oh, we can never identify where it is, but we know it exists. You sound like a religious zealot, dude. The problem with the cult of scientism is that they will actually ostracize and attack you, and then they'll say stuff like, oh, we can never decide or detect where it is. We can never detect the actual electron or where it is, but we know it exists. It is a particle of matter, but we can't see the atom, and it's 100 million times smaller than the atom. We can't see the atom, it's too small. The electron is roughly 100 million times smaller than that. But we know it exists. We just can never detect it or know where it is. And it's a particle of matter, but it's what we call a point particle. So it doesn't have a size or a shape. But it's made of matter. Well, it's not really matter. It's matter, but it's a different type of matter. But it's matter. What? Yeah, it's a different type of mass. Just trust me. This is science. And if you question it, you're crazy. This is a perfect example, okay? So anyway, that's just with the atom, okay? Now we have the atomic model, the atomic structure. I buried the atomic model. I buried the definition of light in my ether stream. I've never got a rebuttal to it. I'll never get a rebuttal to it. I could just redo it. There is no rebuttal to it. I responded preemptively within the presentation. You can go watch the ether. You can skip to 1 minute or 1 hour, 19 minutes and 20 seconds or something like that. Because my mic was messing up, I redid the whole thing. Maybe at one point I'll redo it. I just buried it. I buried it. The atomic model is still in the grave. Not one person has uttered a response, including a group of people that will not be named that are flat earthers that were mocking me. They can't respond. They can't rebut it. Okay, there is no rebuttal. I buried the quantum definition of light and I buried the atomic model. Very easy to do. Now, if you go around and you tell people, did you know the atom doesn't exist and that it can't be seen? They're going to go crazy. Did you know that the electron, it doesn't really exist? You can't detect it, can't spot it, don't know where it is? They're going to go crazy. They're going to call you a science denier. They're going to call you stupid. You're an idiot. You shouldn't breed. Gaslight, insult, ad hom, red herring, blah, blah, blah. But they can't rebut the specifics. This is a perfect example of the cult of scientism. People that are unintelligent, that lack the diligence required to research something, that lack confidence to actually speak something contradictory to the consensus, will attack you in this desperate, weird, vain, egotistical, narcissistic attempt to somehow convince themselves that they hold a superior intellectual position when in fact they hold the ignorant position. Okay, so in crude terms, we got the atom, this idea of the atom, the phenomena, J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. He says that it's the terminal end of one unit line of dielectric induction. You have dielectric fields, like little gaps, little ends, the terminal ends of the little like dielectric lines of induction. You have induction. You have like this happening in these, well, we use lines to describe them. It's just like a direction, concentrated direction of induction. And then if we pinpoint the end of them, because they're in relationships throughout a field, we can call that electron. We can isolate the gap in the field, basically. We call that electron. That's what it is. That's what the person who discovered it is. That's what Tesla said. Etheric corpuscles, etc. All right. Anyway, so they say, okay, we got the atom. Well, what's below the atom? And of course, to propose the atomic model, you have to say, oh, well, electrons do this, protons do this, neutrons do that. And that's why you saw the chart, right? And you see the progression of the chart. And it's, all the definitions are basically explaining electrons and how electrons work. Now, my logo up here is actually a more accurate depiction of the atom. This right here is a more accurate depiction of the atom in reality. Here, we'll play this. This is a more accurate depiction. And this moves, and there's energy field moving, exchanging. You have the centrifugal divergence and the centripetal convergence. The two different geometries, hyperboloid, fit within toroid. Okay. Anyway, we have what we call charge, okay, and we have electric phenomena, and then people, they're atomists. They have to explain. They love their balls. Everything's comprised of balls. As Ken Wheeler calls the cult of bombarding particles from the small to the big. They love everything must be a ball bouncing around. Truth is that the spherical models aren't entirely unfounded. If you, again, look at my logo, I'll play it one more time, and then just imagine drawing a well, that would be an overall sphere. We live in that plane through the middle, of course, because the truth is the geometry is the same from the small to the big. And it's actually, of course, what I said a second ago, centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence overlap. The toroid, the hyperboloid, the donut, and the inside of the donut, the toroid, okay? You can draw a circle around it. It wraps all the way around. It's right. So anyway, so they come up with this idea of the electron. It progresses through their different types of definitions of the atomic model. And they're like, well, what's smaller than that? What's in the surrounding space? What comprises these things? What's even smaller than that? Now, they're already way off in the deep end of pseudoscience. They've lost the plot, okay? They lost the plot because the atom is a model, much less the electron. Lost the plot. Electron, proton, neutron, atom, we're out in the deep end of pseudoscience. They want to keep going, okay? So they keep going. This is a cult, bro. We don't let up. We go all the way in on the cult, right? So they keep going, and now we get into what is called quantum mechanics. And basically what happened was you were able to have these physical interactions more precisely with what's called an electron, stuff like that. We could get into that. It's actually electromagnetic phenomena interacting because everything's intrinsically electromagnetic, and that word's been misdefined, but that's a whole stream. So anyway, they start looking at what they're calling the quantum scale, and they find out, oh, this stuff isn't like physical. It isn't physical like little particles like we thought it would be. Everything is energy, and everything is a vortex, little tornadoes, everything. Of course it is. That's actually how the ether manifests energetically. This has been known for a long time, which is the funniest part. Everything's a vortex. You got from the small to the big. You have the vortex through the toroid. And that is the smallest energetic manifestation, material manifestation that exists. And then we have, like, just like Karen B saying, we have a fractal nature of this geometric expression, and it's from the small to the big. And so you can pinpoint different aspects, different quote unquote spins and momentums within this vortex. And that's all they're doing, okay? That's what actually happened. They're like, oh, this isn't really what we thought it would be. Everything is energetic and vortices. This is really what happened. And so then you have quantum. Oh, I just threw a wrench in the situation. We don't understand quantum. No, you don't understand quantum because you're in a cult of materialism, and everything has to be made of little physical balls, right? That's why we call them heliosexual. So as you progress forward now, this is my point. Whenever I point out, according to your own paradigm, everyone that's touted the scientific consensus of the time and mocked and ridiculed anyone that dare question it because it's a cult of scientism, they've been always consistently proven wrong. So you're guaranteed, as you mock people, you ridicule them, you spam my comment sections. I post the True Earth Equinox Summit video, and you got anti-flaggers just can't help but impulsively just spew stupidity and toxicity in my comment section because they need it for the illusory self-validation. So, to such an extent that they can't watch my streams because my vocabulary is like, oh, I'm just trying to sound smart as word salad. Well, I just have a higher end of the spectrum audience. So it's just very obvious whenever people can't ever stay on the subject and respond, they just are there to try to validate themselves, even if illusory, and they want to tear you down. And that's part of basically the requirement to be in the cult of scientism. My point is, what they'll say is, well, science gets better. Yeah, sure, it's always been wrong, but that's how science works. We're always learning new things and we're getting better and we're refining. You know, they take that half truth, they twist it and manipulate it to somehow pretend that it's justification of like their lunacy, but it's not. Because in reality, we have many things that has shown us that when we made a presumption and we pivoted in our understanding or our theoretical interpretations, that they were the wrong pivots, they were the wrong foundations. And you built entire meticulous, intricate, sometimes even captivating or convincing theoretical frameworks built upon a faulty foundation. So we walk over there like we're playing Jenga and we can just pull it out and everything falls down. And the cult of scientism cannot re-examine the foundation of their belief. That's another prerequisite of being in the cult of scientism. You must always assume that the theoretical foundation is accurate, or you're not allowed in. You must, in fact, swear upon the book of the cult to be allowed in. Now, it isn't difficult to get in. You just have to turn off your brain and not think for yourself. So anyway, I'm digressing a lot. But the point is that quantum's a perfect rebuttal to their alleged rebuttal, meaning when you point out that science is always wrong. And so the fact that you're mocking and ridiculing people, the only time science has ever made any progressions when someone challenges the status quo. It's when the individual comes and says, no, you all got it wrong. This is how it works. That's the only time progression's ever been made. Even in your own paradigm, if you believe in the heliocentrical, nonsensical model, right? It is, of course, Einstein challenging the status quo. You have Tesla challenging the status quo. People are going to talk instantly across the world through the ether. You're insane. Look what we're all doing right now. You're hearing me talk effectively live time. We have radio transmissions, boom, across the world, over 10,000 miles, debunks the globe, but whatever. Ground wave propagation cannot bounce off the ionosphere, and it goes thousands of miles, but whatever, who cares? And in fact, the military says that from 10 meters, or from 3 meters up, which is 10 feet, it can shoot over 800 kilometers, which is 497 miles, which would be like 31.8 miles of vertical physical obstruction, yet you can shoot it. But anyway, I really do digress. So the point is that we have all kinds of things that come from people attacking the status quo, attacking the consensus, thinking for themselves. Brilliant people that have the confidence and the boldness to challenge the status quo is the only way science has ever made any progression ever. So all these people that are just like, electrons, a wave particle duality, they know how to repeat remedial phrases over and over they read in popular mechanics. It doesn't make them smart. It does the opposite. It's actually the opposite of that. And so when we progress through, and they say science is always getting better, it's always refining, that's incorrect. Science has made incorrect philosophical assumptions and applications, and their entire foundation is wrong. Relativity is a perfect example. Earth must be a spinning, tilted, wobbling ball revolving around the sun. Therefore, relativity must be true, because it's the only way to explain Michelson-Morley and other evidence such as Airy's failure. So we must have relativity, because the Earth must be a ball that revolves around the sun, because my philosophy must be true. Therefore, everything relativity has been applied to since then. Every subsequent theory, everything built upon that assumption, the application of a constant speed of light and all this stuff, it's all wrong. All of it. All of it. There's nothing you can do to trigger the cult of scientism more than to pull the foundation out from underneath their feet, because now they've wasted their time, they've wasted their belief, they've gotten caught up in this belief for so long. And that's just an example. Well, quantum has shown us, for example, quantum is some of the most precise experiments in the history of mankind, incredibly meticulous and precise, and they've been replicated a ton, okay? An absolute ton. And all people find out within quantum over time is how little we know and how wrong we were consistently. We're just wrong about everything. And not we, they. People that believe in the cult of scientism, those who practice within the assumptions of the cult. They're just consistently wrong. To such an extent that the entire realm of quantum is built upon the understanding of light And the current understanding of light is that it's both a wave and a particle, two different things at the same time, which is a paradox, which is physically impossible. There is no duality in nature. Something can't be two contradictory, antithetical things at the same time. Not precisely antithetical, but different things at the same time. You can have a wave and a particle. That's stupid. Now, in fact, light is neither. Light is actually the ether. What we call light is actually just the excitation or perturbation of the ether. Sure, it has a wave-like modality in which we perceive the motion via illumination or the non-perceivable spectrum. And there is no particle. And in fact, what they call the photon is nothing more than the intersection of the oscillating magnetic field, the oscillating electric field. It's like if I laid two lines of spaghetti over each other, and then where they intersected, I walked up and said, did you know that where those are intersecting, there's a little bitty ball there called a spaghetti-ton? I'd be like, you're insane. You should be checked in somewhere. That's just two lines of spaghetti. It's an event. They intersected. It's an intersection. It's not a particle. All that to say that the very foundation of quantum is incorrect, no matter what they come up with, where they're like, oh, this photon must actually be sentient, can transcend time, can know you're going to observe it before you know you're going to observe it, and change reality relative to whether or not you're going to observe it, can go through two slits simultaneously. Well, not really, but it's just our math, but hey, we'll just pretend that it can. Oh, it's a wave and it's a particle at the same time, blah, blah, blah. They'll keep going. They'll come up with the most insane, out of left field, contradictory, paradoxical, nonsensical ideas before they ever step back and question their cult. It's just like a religion. You come up to somebody with some evidence against the Bible, and they believe in the Bible. They were raised with the Bible. They believe in their Baptist interpretation of the Bible. You're like, well, look, the Bible here actually says that's not true. Or look, this seems to have been manipulated from the Hebrew. They just don't hear it. They're like, la, 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 you're a Satanist. You're going to hell. You're going to burn in fire forever. How dare you question my religion? That's how those people are with the cult of scientism. You're not allowed to challenge it or question it. Well, that's antithetical to science. When they said don't question the science, that's the opposite of science. Trust the science, opposite of science. Science denier, that's a stupid phrase. You're supposed to constantly challenge and question the current interpretation. All scientific interpretation is built upon our limited knowledge. What can you do with an experiment if you can't interpret the results? Philosophy and science are tied at the hip. We have philosophical limitations. We're always growing in understanding. Therefore, we can never fully know the true answer. You can never definitively prove something in entirety. You can prove a cause of an effect. You can never definitively prove the sole cause of an effect. There are variables that you don't know. You don't even understand the current cause or independent variable you think you understand, right? Heat's a perfect example. Heat is actually a byproduct of pressure mediation, which is intrinsically electromagnetic, right? So whenever you bring up heat as an independent variable, you think you understand it. Sure, you can say like caveman, heat caused water to boil, but, well, what is heat? Point is that we're constantly learning. We are limited humans that are trying to grow and learn things. Well, we're limited men and women because we don't have the hue of a man. We are mankind, but I'm digressing a lot right now. But anyway, you guys understand my point, which is that all that's been proven throughout time is that people have no idea what they're talking about. And quantum is like the linchpin in the pseudoscience. For one, what we've discovered in quantum, even with all the patchwork, the mathematical band-aids, the assumptions, the pseudoscientific paradoxical nonsense, that is current quantum mechanic interpretation, it's still just decapitated heliocentrism, like just done away with it. Now, you need someone like me that's entirely censored into the corner of the internet to even relay this to you, because it's so oppressed or suppressed. You're not allowed to question it. It's decapitated it, okay? If we apply the cosmological scale to the quantum scale, well, quantum is something we're physically doing. We're actually physically manipulating experiments, sure, with all kinds of assumptions with how they interpret it, but we know there's energy in a vacuum. We know that there's quote-unquote zero-point energy, the Casimir effect. We know this stuff exists. We can physically manipulate it in scientific experiment and show you that this energy exists, that all these other predictions are wrong, and that gravity is nowhere to be found anywhere, nowhere, okay? So we've debunked the heliocentric model. Well, there's a philosophical foundation of the Copernican principle. It cannot be questioned. It cannot be challenged. Burn them at the stake, right? Just like the Catholics in the Reformation. Burn them at the stake if they dare question it. And now, of course, instead of shutting you down and censoring you by decapitation or burning you at the stake, they just censor you into oblivion. They have people personally attack you, give you death threats, make sure you can't make any money. And then you have people running around gaslighting, saying the opposite, that you're a con man trying to grift for money, and then they just try to psychologically beat you down so you give up in the pursuit of truth. It's disgusting. Now they have a bunch of little like slave minions running around doing their bidding for them within the cult. the lower level cult, they would throw them under the bus in a heartbeat. They don't care. Pretty obvious. The last 3 years, they threw pretty much everyone under the bus, and they said, come take the jab. It's super legit. So quantum is a good example of what to bring up to these type of people. But what they'll always do is, oh, we don't understand that. Like, oh, okay, well, you understand that the Earth's a ball that spins, tilts, wobbles, and revolves around the sun, right? Well, what about the fact that when you claim that about the solar system, then that extends into claims about the rest of the universe? We found out that that claim and that assumption doesn't work at all. Doesn't work at all. Bro. We've known this for almost a century. So what science doesn't do is ignore evidence. Okay. Well, no, it works on the solar system. Okay. So if I make up a theory about all physical reality, and then I build it upon what's on my desk, I have 22 books on my desk. Okay. Now let me make an equation like, oh, books are represented by X and And I make an equation that explains my desk very well. And I say, this explains all physical reality. Look, it works perfect. Come look at my desk. And yeah, the math and the theory works for the desk. And I take that theory and I apply it to everything else and it doesn't work. You know how stupid you would sound if you're like, well, look at the desk though. It's like, okay, you're dumb. That's what they do with the theory of relativity and the heliocentric model. The solar system is not some singular thing you get to explain. Somehow it makes your point valid. In fact, relativity doesn't even explain the solar system. The perihelion shift of Mercury doesn't work. It's called Mercury's anomaly, and it can't be explained. It is antithetical to the claims of mass distribution and space-time and relativity entirely. But I think the creator just made that celestial body actually defy all of their claims to show you that you guys here on the Earth don't know what you're talking about when it comes to the sky. But anyway, so it's hard for people to let go of these fundamental axioms. So what I'm bringing up is the Earth. The Earth's the globe that spins and revolves around the sun every year. That's how we get a year. If you question that, they have this visceral, emotional, religious, dogmatic reaction. Okay? They can't hear it. They must attack the messenger. Attack, gaslight, personally attack. Because it's like this vulnerable spot for them. That if what they put all their faith in, typically their whole worldview is built upon the faith of the idea of science, and they're atheists and stuff like that. Or they are atheist apologists or whatever, atheist agnostics. They have all kinds of weirdo terms. But the point is that they put all their faith in this. So to show them that something so fundamental and so pivotal and crucial to their belief system is incorrect. It's just not an option. It's not even on the table. And that's how you know you're in a cult. So I know I'm all over the place making a lot of different points, but it's very obvious we're living in a time of major shift, okay? And there are a few people that are they found out there's this huge missing spot of people that are able to think outside the box and to put forth new ideas. And we found out that we've been tricked, we've been duped. All these people that claim they know things they don't know are lying, or they're misleading us, they're deceiving us, so usually because of ego. So now we are in the midst of what has been coined the Great Awakening, and it is a great awakening of consciousness and truth, and it's being attacked a lot. So if anyone in this day and age that can come attack you for starting to expose some of these lies, they are dead weight. They are literally irrelevant. They're just laughable. They're like laughing stocks. History will reflect those people are insane. It's just like the people that were cheering on the Catholic Church who were killing all the Protestants in the Reformation. Well, it was a safe spot then to sit in the crowd and be like, yeah, get them, kill them. Well, now what does history think about those people? What is wrong with you? You're insane. Same people that promoted all kinds of atrocities throughout history. Same people that promoted all kinds of pseudoscience throughout history. So all of this, the idea of this is to basically expose the general premise and the philosophy of the cult of scientism, and to encourage people to think outside the box and to challenge it boldly, speak loudly. And that's why I crafted the phrases that I say, right? The weak find the contentment, the consensus of ignorance. Whenever they revile you for truth's sake, rejoice. I did it to all the prophets before you. I do it to everyone that's speaking truth at the time. To this day, they still have narratives to make fun of Nikola Tesla, who would just take your little puny brains and just fold it in like a deck of cards or something. It's weird, but it's not weird once you realize that it's a religion, and you don't have to be in a religion. See, to step outside of the cult doesn't require a replacement belief. It requires you just simply suspending belief. That's all you have to do. It's a pretty incredible position to be. It's a very freeing position to be. And if we don't come around to understanding, accepting, and applying this it will be too late very soon. And we're in a dangerous time in society where they're using this science card for atrocities that are disgusting. And it's backfiring on them because the truth always prevails. And now we got all kinds of people questioning the nature of where they live, questioning the nature of how you get sick, questioning how the body works, questioning big pharmacia, questioning everything the government says, questioning everything the news says, because the last 3 years woke them up. So sure, they did let off a pretty devastating blow in a way, but not without people waking up. So if people want to come ridicule you, just tell them that the atom, can you prove that the atom exists and that there's an electron inside of it? They're going to make fun of you, act like you're stupid. How does your computer work? And just show them this. Okay, well, which one is it? Is it the last one? You believe in the last one? Okay. So then if you can never detect or see where the electron is, how do you know it's there? How do you know what it is? How big is it? What size is it? What shape is it? How many of them are there? How do you know it's there? Oh, we have an electron gun. What? Just because you say that, but what does that mean? You just, okay, you're concentrating energy. That's exciting, but how do you know that you're shooting a beam of electrons if you can never find the electrons? Oh, we know that they're in these. No, you know it's a concentration of energy, and you claim that must require there be electrons there. So I bring that one up because it paints the picture perfectly. If you tell someone the electron doesn't exist, they'll lose their mind. It doesn't. The photon doesn't exist either. Oh, yeah, then how come I can bounce lasers back and forth? Oh, what about the double slit? Like, I'm sorry that you don't understand it, but look into it, because you can almost rest assured that what the mainstream scientific consensus is, if it's ever built upon materialism, it's wrong, almost always. You have a huge advantage just being skeptical now. These people that can't dare question things, they have a huge disadvantage. God bless you and your family. Much love from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you very much. Retro, Reister, Gaming. Thank you for the $5 super chat and the kind words. Much love. I know I'm kind of talking fast in this stream. Sorry. Why was 8 afraid of 7? I have no idea. Thank you, Silo Carpenter. 789. Oh, you actually gave 789. That's pretty funny. Wow, very generous super chat, Jed. Thank you for the generous $200. That's $200. Awesome at watching you for some time. I know this is not a topic tonight, but I almost never get to see you live. So I wanted to say thank you for being brave enough to talk about the Trinity. I see that Yah is working in your life. Congrats on the family. Blessings, brother. Thank you so much. And that's a very generous donation. So thank you so much. That means a lot. And yeah, that was just one of the things that I was shown and woke up to, and I had to say something about it. People were still triggered about it, but it is what it is. But thank you for the kind words and support and very generous donation. Much love. Jet, thank you. All right, so you guys get the general idea. What I'm going to do real fast is I'm going to play the little trailer I made. Oh, how dare you? It's like a minute long. Okay. For the summit. And then I'm going to show you guys something really cool that you want to see that I was working on. I'm gonna premiere it here. All right. Roll the footage. said, you got to admit, that's a pretty cool thriller, right? I'm getting better. Please turn it off. I'm going to play it again now. Someone said, you gotta pay to have your voice be heard. That's just sad. Like you're literally in the process of sitting here hearing my voice for over an hour so far, completely for free. So you like bump your head or something. In a world. Anyway, you guys should check it out. The summit is going to be pretty fire. We have like 5 new speakers. Amanda Vollmer is going to be in the Q&A, and Crow and Jason. Crow 777 is going to be fielding questions for an hour, which is like unheard of. Be able to directly ask Crow questions, so that's super awesome. That's almost worth the ticket alone, honestly. And we have some epic coupons and discounts and offers and stuff like that in the gift bag this year or this time, so it's going to be super cool. There you go. You guys should definitely check it out. TEMMS.live. It is very cool. Actually, I have a ticket to give away. I don't know if we should. Maybe we'll do that the next stream. I'll give a ticket away next stream. 1 ticket I have to give. Because we gave a ticket away. One of the tickets, this guy was like, I'm going to buy a ticket. I want to support you guys. Here, give this ticket to someone else. So, or like give it to me or something. I'm like, well, I'll just give it. I'll give it away. So, in a world. Dude, I don't even charge for my Rockton content, dude. All my Rockton streams are free, and they specifically are like, please make some of them behind a paywall, and they're all free, dude. They're all free. Are you kidding me? Anyway, all right. I'm going to show you guys this thing I made for NASA audits. Guys, you should definitely just at least go to the website, check it out, TEMMS.live. Trust me when I say it's going to be super epic. It actually is. Okay, and we have Sam Tripoli doing comedy from, of course, Tinfoil Podcast. All right. I'll drop the link to that in the chat. It's in the description. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this other video. I forgot I'm going to have to upload it, though. But it's pretty fire. I'll show you one of the videos I made for NASA audits. And, yeah, you guys can just tell me what you think. I made a few of these. And the commercial I made will actually premiere in the summit. Sorry, you guys can't see that one. Okay, I'm uploading it now. When we stick our hands and feet into the earth, we discharge into the earth. That energy cycles through the firmament, creating the sun. You're the light of the world. We're the sun of mankind. PB Bear. That's a pretty crazy idea. I don't think we create the sun. Sorry, I can't really get behind that, but could we have some energetic connection cyclically to the sun? Sure. But thank you for the $10 super chat. Pretty interesting idea. Ethan W0406. Are you an agent? Oh, hey, I can't show that one on the stream, but Mr. Plant, member for 5 months. Hey, member for 5 months. Great to see you back and crushing so hard, brother. Wish you, Kai, and the princess all the happiness, love, and blessings one could have. Much love. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for being a member and for the kind words. Much love. All right, I'm going to play the video now. Prepare yourself. I'm getting better at making videos. We'll get there. I know I'm behind on like the newsletter. I'm trying. There's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, I'm working a lot on the summit, trying to get that all taken care of. Roll the footage.
I don't have long. I've snuck away to send this transmission, to reach out to you. They'll realize I'm missing soon. I'm risking everything to get you this message. The truth about space exploration is being kept from the public. I've witnessed things that cannot be ignored. It's time to uncover what's been hidden, to shed light on the secrets that are being kept in the shadows. I'm begging you, don't ignore this call to action. The truth is big. It's bigger than anything you could imagine. The people deserve to know what's really going on. Join NASA audits and become a part of the mission to uncover the truth. It's time to shed light on the secrets that have been kept hidden. The future of our world may depend on it.
Oh, yeah. pretty cool. I gotta admit, I think it's very cool. I started sending to Cash App when I found that out. Yeah, that's one thing I got to work on. I got to start reading the Cash App and the PayPals. So you guys see, that's pretty cool, right? I made a few of them. We're gonna scatter them throughout the internet. It's super cool. It's cool, and I'm gonna make a lot of like really fire content to pump NASA audits up, and we have a bunch of really cool ideas. I'm gonna get the newsletter out soon. I'm just like I have like a million things going on. I wanted to make it a decently extensive newsletter, so yeah. Anyway, I decided I would premiere that and show you guys the 360 people that made it here. Cool. So that's pretty much the announcements. I'll give a ticket away tomorrow. I'll try and stream tomorrow night. Something that really threw a wrench in my time distribution was a raccoon got into the chicken coop and it was a massacre. There's only one chicken that left alive. I had to completely clean up all the just gore and mess out of the chicken coop and rake all this stuff. It was just feathers and just everything everywhere. I had to clean that all up all day, and now there's one chicken by himself, and I'm gonna have to try to get him some more chickens. It's just a whole thing. It was really intense. So that really threw a wrench in my plans and took up a vast majority of my day. So yeah, RIP for the chickens, bruh. RIP. That raccoon. You know what's so crazy? I saw the raccoon because I heard the chickens. I'm like, what's going on? I went out there. I saw the raccoon, and I don't have a 22. I just have a 9mm and a KS57. I sat shoot 7.62. I wasn't going to close range a raccoon with a 7.62. Plus, the chickens were already dead, and there was just one alive. And the raccoon got scared of me and ran away. So then the chicken got out. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I had this big bamboo stick. I walk over there because I can't even get up into the crevices of some of the chicken coop, right? So then I go over to the side coop. And I'm looking at him eye to eye, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm talking to him like he's a human. And the raccoon looks at me, and honestly, even though he had just savagely ripped the head off the biggest chicken, I almost felt bad for him in this weird way. And then I did this. I was like, and he balled up. He put his head in his hands and turned and balled up in the corner like a human almost. And I was like, I felt sad for the raccoon, dude. Genuinely, I was like, "Oh, I'm like, dude, will you please get out of here, dude? Just leave." And he put his head down and slowly walked out and walked down the ramp and walked out of the coop. It was like a trip. I was like, they call me Dr. Do-A-Lot. All right, cool NASA audits demo. How did you do that digital animation with the female astronaut talking? Pretty ink, dude. I like it. Thank you. I used a bunch of different programs to make the astronaut, to make the voice, to make the animation, put it all together, and then wrote the script. Thank you for the $5 super chat. T-Back. Interesting name. Yeah, so I got 4 of those I made, and then I'll be premiering the short commercial, and then everyone should just share the commercial. I mean, it's the way I'm making it, it's not really about Flat Earth or anything. It shouldn't even be a really polarizing, conflicting thing. It should just be that's pretty cool. I mean, I never even thought about that. Yeah, we should hold them accountable. What are they doing? So it's pretty cool. I built a storyline into it. I snuck away. Send this transmission. I might play it again later at the end of the stream because I think it's funny, but he felt guilty for killing your chickens. Yeah, he could tell that I was upset. And then when I did that, he got me, bro. He hit me in the feels. He balled up, scared, and turned and put his head down. I'm like, oh, you messed up. Even though he'd come back the next day and do it again. Why do you think the equator or an equinox never comes up in Flat Earth debate? I don't know. It's super easy to respond. Azimuthal grid of vision, arc of vision, all of it can be explained perfectly with an azimuthal grid of vision, including the directions, the times, all the perceivable locations. Oh man, it's such a death blow to Flat Earth that it took me 12 seconds to answer. GBT can do anything now? I don't know about that. I didn't use GBT to do that. But yeah, they are releasing the new one, I guess, this week. Raccoon's playing you? I swear he is. He's just manipulating me. What a grabbler. He didn't want the smoke. Nah, dude. He was so tough till I came out there and gave him a little, ugh. He didn't want these hands. He knows I lead to the left. All right, cool. So the cult of scientism, I saw a few videos. One's 10 things that science got wrong and stuff like that. But I just don't even, you guys get it. I mean, the science is wrong about everything. It's so egregious at this point that people genuinely believe that it's science to hold the belief that the earth is billions of years old, that they can look at a rock and make up how long ago it was here and that it was billions of years. Even though we'll see different strata with a tree that goes through all the strata that's supposedly all kinds of millions of years, and then the tree can be dated with its rings, and it's just like a few hundred years or 800 years. It's like, oh, I thought this was millions of years down. Oh, we'll just throw that out of it. That's science. Science. Everything came from nothing, and lightning struck primordial soup, and rocks turned into fish who said, this water's whack, let me grow some feet and jump out of here, and then turn into a banana. Or, oh, hey, you have a common ancestry with the strawberry. That's science. Oh, I used to be a rat. Oh, you didn't used to be a rat. You just have a common ancestry with a rat. Oh, that changes everything. Oh, thank you so much for breaking that down for me. So I'm related to a strawberry and a rat. We have the same ancestors. No, my ancestors are German, bro. Pump the brakes. You know, you sound like a weirdo. Oh, we don't believe in lightning struck primordial soup anymore. Oh, you mean believe? Oh, it's a religion. I don't think heliosexuality should be pushed on kids at school. I don't think heliosexuality should be pushed on kids at school. I agree. Stop sexualizing the kids and stop heliosexuality propaganda. That's why I'm going to start a homeschool curriculum, make children's books and children animation. It's just, it's a lot. I'm trying to work on the summit. Honestly, if people want to help where I'm able to actually focus on all the projects, honestly, just going to the summit would help me out. It would help both Jaron and I out. We wouldn't have to depend on sporadic financial support quite as much. It would help out some. Anyway, you guys get it. And when you go there, you get to pick the creator that you want the proceeds to go to. So there's a drop down menu, click it. So when you go to checkout, you pick debit card or whatever, click debit card. And there's a drop down menu, you click it, and it drops down all the names, and you click the names. Okay. I'll do the giveaway tomorrow, and I'll show you guys how to do all of it. But pretty simple. So when it comes to the cult of scientism, forget that is TEMMS.live. Oh, so you feel like an infomercial. Oh, we just put tons of time into it and effort into it, and we're just trying to help you guys out, and it costs us a lot of money to even host it. So don't make it weird, bro. Anyway, overall, every single thing you can think of. So you got evolution, the Big Bang, the heliocentric model. These will go down as the stupidest ideas ever, by the way. Subatomic particles, atomism, the atomic model, all kind of bundled up into a giant pseudoscientific bundle. All kinds of stuff, like the electron, the photon, the quantum definition of light. This can be there and there at the same time. Oh, the light knows you're going to look at it before you decide to look at it, and it can transcend time and change things that happened in the past. Science. No, that's not what we believe. It is what you believe. You just don't want to say it like that because it makes you sound ridiculous. What else? I mean, we could just go forever. Dinosaurs, pseudoscience. Oh, we just made up stories and put random bones together, but I promise it's real. And we can't explain how they could reproduce, and we don't know how we actually dated them, and we can't actually verify the daughter-parent isotope ratio, but it would never change. Take my word for it. You need to find evidence in the scientific sense. Yeah, sure. Replicatable, verifiable, testable, empirical. Which all those three words I said is the definition of empirical. Leave with the 550 super chat, Valdez. Yeah, scientific evidence would be empirical evidence, which means testable, repeatable, verifiable, observable. These would be the actual definitions of empirical, which would be actual evidence. So believe it or not, that everything expanded equally in all directions from a single point, but there is no center of the universe. That's not science. That's pseudoscience. Oh, the edge of the visible universe is 46 billion light years away. Pseudoscience. Okay. Oh, there's a black hole, and it's actually the pinnacle of gravity, and you have the most gravity you could possibly have in the most infinitesimally small point ever, but our math won't even explain it because relativity can't mathematically be applied to a singularity. Pseudoscience. Oh, we have a theory of relativity which says if you have this mass, you have this gravity, because gravity is the bending and warping of space-time based on mass, and then you see all these alleged mass that you assume based on other assumptions of the sizes of Venus and other things and redshift interpretations, and then you get a mass, and then you look at the gravity, and it's 1% of the distribution of mass needed for the amount of gravity, but you say it's still somehow true. So you come up with something called dark matter, which can't be seen, defined, understood, ever proven. No one knows what it is. It's just a mathematical band-aid to make up for a 99% discrepancy. Pseudoscience. That's right. These are all pseudoscientific fairy tales underneath the guise of science, when in fact it's the cult of scientism, a dogmatic religious belief for the sheeple that cannot individually look into information and think for themselves. And it applies to almost everything. Oh, there are existential threats that are flying through the air that are going to kill you, and everything's a little ball. Here's a cartoon. Pseudoscience. Everything's pseudoscience. That's what it is. Okay? It's just a bunch of pseudoscience where people in lab coats think they're smarter than they are, and the people that can't think for themselves, they need someone else to think for them. Well, then you get this. That's what you get. Weird. Cool. All right. I'm going to wrap it up because I didn't want the stream to be too long. I do appreciate you guys being here. We're at 370. 3 and 7s are my number, though. Oh, he said 3 and 7's his number. He's amazing. With any type of dating over a few hundred years, what have they ever been able to cross-reference to verify accuracy? Nothing but dino bones. All good. Yes. Dude, radiometric dating is like the one thing that like creationists let evolutionists off with. They also let them off with microevolution, which is like a concession. No, you don't have microevolution. You have things that are adapting, quote unquote. They don't, not adaptation the way that they identify it, just in the way the verb actually means what it means, right? Things react to their environment, and then they adjust with the information already integrated into their design. They're using information that was already built into them to react to their environment. That is not evolution, okay? You don't have microevolution or adaptation. You don't have anything. Radiometric dating is the prerequisite required for any of those fairy tales. Truth is, the Earth has to be billions of years old for there to be no God, which means they have to believe that the Earth is billions of years old because they don't want there to be a God. That's the actual, objectively, that is the truth. That's what it is. Epigenetics, epigenetics just absolutely decapitates the fairy tale that is evolution. So there's problems with the evolution. You have the radiometric dating presumption, which is required because, again, they neither do not be God. Same thing with gravity, okay? If the Earth's a ball, gravity must exist. We can presuppose the Earth's a ball. We assume the Earth's a ball. We, quote-unquote, know the Earth's a ball. Therefore, gravity must exist. We know gravity exists because it has to exist for the Earth to be a ball, okay? We know that relativity or something like it must exist, where if we were the center, it would look identical to where we weren't the center. And all motion's relative, all reference frames are relative. Light's absolute in all reference frames, but there is no absolute reference frames. Light is constant. And then you can never tell if you're moving or if something else is moving, and that all gravity bends in warp space-time, where it looks like something's falling, it's actually the Earth's accelerating up towards it simultaneously on different sides of it, however that works, which is another paradox. But it has to be the case. If not, then the Earth is at the center, which means it's special, which requires design. We will only acknowledge that idea, the horrific nature of that idea, when we're forced to. The truth is, they've already been forced to, scientifically speaking, evidence-wise, but they'll never admit it. They'll literally die before they admit it. This is one of the main things I want to drive home to wrap the stream up. So what do we cover here? The important things to know. Throughout all of history, scientific consensus has been wrong. And throughout all of history, there have been brilliant minds who have challenged the current scientific consensus. They've been ridiculed, mocked, and ostracized for it, and proven to be correct. People always sound like they're making fantastical claims whenever they start to get closer to the truth because it's antithetical to the consensus, and then they get mocked, ridiculed, ostracized, defunded, completely laughed at, tore down by people that don't even understand them, can't even operate at that high of a level, have no idea what they're saying, haven't done the test, have never truly entertained the possibility that consensus is wrong. And the weak-minded people always get together and they throw stones at the individuals that are smart enough to think for themselves and get closer to the truth. Scientific consensus has always been wrong. It's always been an individual brave and bold enough to speak out against a consensus that's ever made any progression in scientific understanding. That cycle will continue perpetually until the end of time because people are weak, people are lazy, and people take the easy way out. They also like to tear other people down to make themselves feel better. So ironically, the very paradigms these people exist within has proven their own behavior to be incompetent and inadequate because they're just regurgitating current consensus, which is consistently and always wrong. Okay, so you have a huge advantage if you're able to see the holes and discrepancies, focus in on them, not ignore them, and then take the implications and ramifications of those discrepancies for what they truly are. You have a huge advantage. Number two, you're going to say, well, yeah, science changes, but it always gets better. That isn't true. When we go throughout time, like with quantum mechanics, more precise measurements, an abundance of measurements, more meticulous observations, we find out we know way less. All the assumptions we previously had are more and more and more and more wrong as we go. It isn't refining it based on what we thought, and now we're like figuring it out, and we're figuring out everything we assumed was completely wrong. We have to go backwards to more of an etheric frequency vibrational model. Same with there must be no ether. Now we have quantum mechanics finding zero-point energy, vacuum energy, the Casimir effect, what they call quantum foam, all these different names they say they make up when they know, in fact, the vacuum is not Newtonian emptiness. It isn't just space and time. There's something else there. There's a dielectric magnetic constant free space impedance. So now what do? They have to go back to where they have to acknowledge there's an ether. It'll take 10, 15, 20 years before it's really out there in the mainstream because they have to slowly integrate that they were wrong or they would lose all credibility. Same thing with heliocentrism. You know, as time progresses, more and more observations and evidence shows us that we are at the center, okay? Just like, oh, you know, you got Copernicus and you got Galileo. Oh, we're going around the sun, I promise. You have Michelson-Morley showed, no, you need to go back to where the Earth was stationary. We just proved it. You have interferometric readings that are over 10 times more sensitive than they need to be, and it's not picking up the Earth moving around the sun. So we need to go back. No, we'll change all physics, add a fourth dimension, throw out the entire framework and foundational understanding of electrical field theory to keep my belief, my philosophy, my religion alive, which is the Copernican principle. They need to go backwards. What we actually find out is that because of philosophical bias and a hatred of the idea of design or creation, then scientists fall down the rabbit hole of nonsense. They need to go back. They always need to go back. It doesn't mean science is always getting better and more accurate. No, it's making stupid philosophical presumptions in which it is conveyed to the public of sheep, frankly, as if it's science when it's actually philosophy, philosophical bias. And then they build off of this improper foundation and they get more and more stuff wrong. You need to go back and re-examine the foundation. So this idea that it's always getting better is incorrect. Oh, the sun is this far away. Never mind this far away. Never mind this far away. Never mind this far away. Oh, the core of the Earth is this. Never mind, that's not the core of the Earth. Never mind, there's a core inside the core. Oh, never mind, the magnetic field doesn't come from the core because it has to be made up of these metals, which these densities in metals don't work with the magnetic field. So actually, it's the outer core. Oh, never mind, now the outer core is spinning the opposite way, which actually means just going slower than the spin of the Earth. Oh, now the sun is, or the Earth is spinning faster. It can constantly move the goalposts, make up new ideas, make up new stories. Oh, gravity showed us that we were off by a significant percentage in amount of our prediction. Oh, we can just make up a term called dark matter. Well, what is that? Don't know. Don't you have to define it? No, but we know it exists. How? Have you ever detected it? No, you can't detect it. How do you know it exists? Because it has to exist or my other philosophical theory isn't true. Well, maybe your theory is not true. No, can't be. Get out of here. You're kicked out of the church. It must be true, which means this thing that can't be verified and can't be defined must exist. Science, okay? No, you need to go back to before you made up this philosophical reification fallacy that is the theory of relativity. I know I'm going fast and scattergunning a bit, but you guys get it. They believe in something called dark matter and dark energy. They believe in pseudoscientific subatomic particles like quarks. There must exist a graviton. Really? Must there? Well, how come we haven't found it? And even if they claim to have found it, how'd you find it? Most of the particles they name now, they don't even quote unquote find. They just see a phenomena that happens that they didn't currently account for, and so they just make up a new particle. That's not science. So anyway, there you go. You guys get it. We live in a crazy world, bro, where you just have to accept that what comes with it, inevitably, the territory that comes with being a free thinker, being intelligent enough to research things on your own, being diligent enough to continue to seek them out, and being bold enough to point out the discrepancies when you find them. In the face of societal ostracism is going to come with mockery, ridicule, and with attacks. And you have to understand and look at it kind of like a child or a rebellious child or something, or one of those people in your class when you were growing up that you knew they were just going to be like that. Just treat them as if they're almost handicapped in a way, right? They're emotionally handicapped where it's like, I know that you need to tear me down to try to make yourself feel better about yourself. You're fighting within yourself. You have inner turmoil. You have to rip and tear and belittle people so you can feel better about yourself. It's okay. Or in fact, you typically envy a lot of these people in my chat. You guys are envied by these people that attack you because they're like, I wish I could just so boldly not care what other people think. I wish I could think for myself. Like they're fascinated with your ideas. They want your opinion. What does Witsit think about this? What does Witsit think about that? Why would you care? I'm such an idiot and so wrong about everything. Why would you care what I think about everything? Truthfully, they envy you guys. They envy the people that think for themselves and can come up with their own ideas. And assuredly, we are wrong about things and we have to learn things and we're figuring things out. But we're thinking outside the confinement, societal ostracism, and the cloak that is pseudoscientific cults that is called science. really it's the cult of scientism. Under this cloak is really just a facade. It's the emperor with no clothes. It's the Wizard of Oz. You pull back the curtain, you find out some weirdo, creepy little dude addicted to porn that does nothing of value. It's just trying to control other people, right? And these people know. These people know this deep down, and they want to be around you because there's like this spark of ingenuity and creativity within you. And evil cannot create; it can only imitate. So it has to take your ideas. It has to try to twist them. It wants to make sure if I'm not bold enough to do it, I don't want you to be bold enough to do it. Just accept it, bro. When you start getting shot with arrows, just know you're probably doing something right. You're probably headed in the right direction. When people try to stalk you or tear you down, bro, just take it as confirmation that you're doing what's right, because it is inevitable. If you speak the truth and you expose the dark to light, you're going to be its at. Okay, and that's just kind of how it goes. That's what I want people to take out of it. It's unavoidable, and if anything, the last few years has proven this to me unequivocally, right? That you will 100% run into emotional, dishonest, toxic opposition, and it's okay. Just embrace it and understand,